Hi everyone! This week in lecture, we discussed various sociocultural and psychosocial constraints that could affect motor development and or participation in physical activity. So for this activity, we are going to reflect on some activities that you've persisted in and dropped out of during your lifespan, and then kind of align those with some of the motivating factors that we discussed in lecture this week. I've included some background information, kind of summarizing some of the things we discussed in lecture. For your instructions, this lab activity has been modified from the lab activity 16.4 in HK Propel. So similar to previous weeks, you're just going to be using what we've been given on Beachboard for this week. So these instructions pretty much align with the questions that I have listed below, so I'll just skip ahead to those. But when you submit your activity, just make sure you're using the regular naming convention, and I will be posting a grading rubric so that you can kind of use that as a checklist to make sure you've got all the components in your answers. The total lab will be out of 20 points. So the first question that you're answering is you're just identifying two activities, one of which you had long-term participation in, or what we would identify as persistence. You may still enjoy doing this activity, so that'll be the first one. And then the second one is an activity that you used to participate in, either being short or long-term, but you dropped out of. Okay, so some of you might have had multiple persistent activities. You could use both of these as an example, but mainly we just need two activities, one that was persisted in, at least one that was dropped out of. For question number 2, you're going to list at least 3 reasons why you continued participation in the persistent activity. So if you can't come up with 3 reasons, you can kind of retrospectively evaluate some other potential reasons that could have contributed to your persistence in the activity. Question number 3 is similar, but kind of related more to the dropped out activity. So list at least 3 reasons that contributed to or could have potentially contributed to discontinuing this dropped out activity you identified in question 1. For both question 2 and 3, kind of consider the reasons for persistence or dropout, and then identify if any of those overlap with the factors that we listed in the Chapter 16 lecture. Additionally, in this question, are there any factors that were present in the lecture that may have contributed to your persistence or dropout that you've never considered before? So just a small reflective answer. For questions number 5 and 6, this is related to a hypothetical role that you're going to put yourself in. So you're going to pretend that you're a director of a program that promotes healthy, active lifestyles for children and adolescents. For question number 5, you're going to identify 5 strategies that you could implement to promote participant persistence in a given physical activity. So it might help to identify the physical activity that you're promoting if there's a specific one. And then for question number 6, what reasons for persisting, dropping out, or both do you address in each of your 5 strategies for motivating participants to stay in your program? So whatever you list as the strategy for number 1, your justification for number 1 under question 6 should align with that strategy. That way they stay in the same order and it's like easier for grading purposes. All right? If you guys have any questions on the activity, please send me an email.